Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels on the Pulp Blotter Book Club, where today, joined by Mark Pracht and Sean Harklerode, we will discuss The Shadow. Who,
I like
who,
how
who,
Sean just waved.
Yeah.
There's,
well,
there's
I
no
mean,
video at. We've been trying to get
one,
Tad to do a video
one
version, but
day maybe we'll do video. Uh, People didn't bail on Suntress when I was on his screen.
yeah.
Actually, I did notice the coolest thing with that. I gotta like humble brag, and my wife even took a screenshot, so I'm gonna send it to the two of you. But he's already had an artist put together a thing for the book club, and they put
Mm.
together the screen of like Bendis and King and Sundress and other people, and I am in the artwork.
Oh,
Awesome.
good for
So
you.
so so I show up in like his pre-show stuff now, right underneath Tom King,
Well, now
which which is
you are.
kind of like crazy to me.
I mean, I did uh in speaking of John Suntress, I did you guys see where he was uh he apparently he's had some health issues and
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've even
I
texted with him
I
about it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I jumped on it. I shared that, and it actually prompted me to get on his Patreon. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, he's a good guy.
I upped my Patreon and sent him my well wishes and hooked him
Mhm.
up with an interview, which hopefully will come through soon.
You know, Crystal and I have been talking to him about doing the playwrights, but
Right.
I don't know. He's busy. He also has a lot of good people who want to be on that show. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, and he goes all over the place. I'm certain that I mean, because I know he likes Crystal and Fred a lot. I'm certain that it'll squeeze in. I imagine it's as much as anything that right now it's not specifically timely.
yeah,
It's more of an
absolutely.
evergreen thing.
Oh
So,
yeah, 100%. I like it's it's just
and
yeah,
Mark,
it's
I know I'm a dinky little nothing podcast, but
yeah,
like I would talk to you and Crystal and Fred too.
if well, I mean,
You
like
haven't even
when
asked me.
I you know what, Tad? I thought that anything that I ever suggested was you knew was
Well,
open to you if as soon as
okay,
like
okay.
if you
See that. Okay, my bad. I would love to have you, Crystal and Fred on, so
well, I
maybe we
mean,
should set
and
that
I
up.
can probably get you Lenny too. I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
um
I'm
uh
all over the comics
yeah, and
playwrights.
Sean and I are probably going to hang out with Lenny in San Diego in a few weeks. So,
Right. Yeah,
I'm looking forward
we'll
to
figure it
that.
all out. We'll figure it
Um,
out.
anyway,
The Shadow.
The Shadow, 1941,
So
the
so so
Hitler's astrologer.
yeah, I wanna start here with Sean just because of some of the stuff that he said off air. But I'm not going to throw him under the bus. I'm going to ask Sean. You seem to have a relationship with the shadow already. So what is the shadow to you?
So to me, the shadow is very pulpy, very dark, shadowy,
Shadowy.
It's kind of
grim.
right there in the name.
Uh, Crime doesn't pay. The weed of
Weed of
evil breeds
the
bitter
weed of
fruit.
the weed of crime bears
Weed of
bitter
crime.
fruit.
Uh, and I'll be honest. So it's very atmospheric, I think.
Okay.
To me, the shadow
Right.
is very atmospheric, and I was really looking forward to reading this. It's Denny O'Neil, obviously, and it did not feel like the shadow to me at all. It felt like Doc Savage, really. Um, and
100% agree.
yeah,
And I just don't have enough relationship with Shadow, so it felt like Denny O'Neil and cool to me.
Well, like that doesn't mean that I thought it was bad.
Right.
I just think that and quite honestly, I think that Denny O'Neil knows this character and he knows all of these characters and he writes these characters pretty well. Uh, I'm gonna, and it pains me to say this because I love Mike Kaluta's artwork. I think it is absolutely wrong for this book.
The photorealism,
The photorealism, the cleanliness of it, to me, like we chose this one because we wanted to go to, pure pulp, something that came directly from the pulp tradition. And, to me, like when you read those pulp novels, they're all so grungy and they're all so kind of low rent and they're all not it is not a to me it's not a clean line art form.
right?
And Kaluta's line, like Kaluta is so good at the clean line, obviously photo referenced uh stuff. It just doesn't have that life to it that like even when I'm reading like a shadow novel that I intellectually, I know this is not all that great. This is obviously a writer who is like, I'm getting paid 3 cents a word, so I'm going to just keep typing. Uh, there's still this energy and this sort of visceral nature to it that is just like, and this felt so austere and so we're doing something important and it's like I would hazard to guess that throwing the Nazi Germany angle into it almost increased that because like now we're telling this story that's rather important,
Right.
and when I just want to see and it gets there, but you want to see the shadow manipulate a bunch of stupid crooks into doing something really dumb, and then he goes and just dispatches them with vindictive glee, it's like and
He tricks them into invading Russia
well, yeah. I mean, and that just seemed like
at the
okay,
wrong
all
time
right.
of year.
Yeah. It's I mean like and I think the other thing about Kaluta and it really was striking me was I was reading this is like I think he suffers from a little bit of Alex Ross ism. Like you can tell that everything is based on a photo, you know? And I I have to admit I was like sitting like as I was reading it because I knew Kaluta and um Dave Stevens were really good friends. Like Dave Stevens probably could have knocked this thing out of the park. It would have taken 17 years to do it, but he would have like every it would have been atmospheric. It would have been the photo reference, of the actual people would have been right on. And if I don't like to talk smack on Kaluta. It's just it felt I was really excited to read this because I had read about Denny O'Neil's Shadow, and I was the further along I got in it, I was sort of like, how long till this is over? Yeah. So
Well,
take
I
it.
mean, the one thing I will toss out is it seems like this is separate from the 12 issue series that he did. Um, so it might be that the Denny O'Neil Shadow that they're talking about is the monthly more than this mini
Certainly.
series that is just more readily available. Um, but yeah, I don't think I was disappointed the same way. Um, because I didn't have the same type of expectations. Um, but but it definitely fell a little bit flat for me. I mean, most of my Shadow experiences, I read the Garth Ennis stuff like roughly when it came out. Um, and I know just like the basic history and actually I have a handful of like originals of the Denny O'Neills that I read a lot way back when, but are now in God knows which box, right?
Yeah.
um, I mean, I remember having one of them at summer camp with me, and like one of my friends who knew more of the value of various comics going, "What the hell do you have that in a tent in Wisconsin for?" And I'm like, "Well, because I'm reading it."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really funny
Mhm.
because like it doesn't I'm not 100% sure who this book was for, and I see that it was
Right,
originally one of the Marvel graphic novels,
right,
and that this is reprinted by Dynamite.
right,
Um, because like it certainly doesn't there isn't a lot there for new readers,
right.
you know?
Well,
Like
and the
Right.
Marvel novel line was weird because they always stuck to like 96 pages.
hmm
So it was essentially you've got four issues. Um, they wanted more splash pages. You know, I have at some point I need to go read up on exact. I know a few people have written up like oral history type things of that line. Um, but like it seems like a line that was great in concept and fell flat. You know, for every gem like Daredevil, Love and War, or what was the Mignola? Um,
Oh,
was it
Doctor Strange and Doctor
Doctor
Doom.
Doom, right?
Yeah,
hmm
For
yeah.
every gem like that, there were like a half dozen that were just like, okay.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I
it's funny. There was a recent there was a recent back issue that went into the DC it was like a graphic novel issue. So they talked about, and it really seemed like like DC started doing these graphic novels and was doing really well with them. And then Marvel was like, well, we better do these too. And some of them seemed great and some of them didn't. I mean, like I remember one that I specifically remember picking up was the Hooky, the Spider-Man one, where he gets sucked into some sort of alternate realm and it's like Bernie Wrightson art and it's like it's one of those stories where you're like this seems like a story that Wrightson or whoever had bouncing around and they were like, oh, Marvel wants us to do it, we better stick Spider-Man into it, you know.
yeah.
And I mean it was kind of fun because I did have fun with it because it's basically like these Lovecraftian horrors coming at Spider-Man and Spider-Man doing his usual like I
Yeah,
don't know what I'm
yeah.
here, and it's like, and that was fun, but it also felt like something that uh wasn't um
Entirely thought out.
entirely thought out. I mean, and the thing is like, it's just like I think if if you're going to do the shadow, like I'm looking at this first page, right? And there's a thing at the top that sort of sets up the political situation. Okay,
Right,
fine. Then there's little the little headshots. We start out with the Shadow's agents,
Right.
including Lamont Cranston, who is the Shadow. But I don't know that you actually would know that from reading this book.
Well, so
yeah. I
that
kind of feel like you're supposed to know
You're
that in
supposed
this
to already
book.
know who all these characters
so
are.
that's what
Right,
and you kind of touched on it there, Mark. I just felt because I know the Shadow. I don't know him all that well, but
Right,
um, you hear Mick Jagger people always say every show is someone's first Stones show.
right.
Every, you have to bring people in, right?
right,
And this was like, hope hope you know and love everything about the shadow.
Right.
Right.
And you know,
I'm
and
going to
maybe
make
that,
no effort to show why I care about
yeah,
Margot Lane or any of these people.
or even who Margot Lane is. I mean, there is some interesting like psychological implications of some of it. There's this moment where, let me see if I can find it. Um, I think it's Gretchen says something like, you all need somebody to lead you or something like that, you know, like that they're all sort of lost souls, right? And I
Right.
think
Right.
that's a really interesting thing to explore. And you know, the pulp novels sort of by their nature never really did that, but the characterizations were always clear, right? It would be like, here's Margot Lane, blah blah blah, you know, and she's this and this, and then we were into the story. I This thing doesn't give you any of that. It's more interested in, and maybe this was the point, to talk about what was going on in Europe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I mean, and that's a fine story to tell, but it seems to me with the amount of space they had, we could have had something telling us who the shadow is, because at no
Yeah.
point does it give us who the shadow is, you
Yeah.
know?
But for that matter, I know Sean read it as well, and I am most of the way through it. I was reading the the uh the Shadow, Blood and Judgment, the kind of the Shadow Returns from Howard Chaykin, and that's
That,
probably my biggest. I think overall I'm enjoying that more.
Yeah.
Um, but
well,
my biggest issue with it is that like we are totally thrown in media res and like we're supposed to know all these people already.
mhm.
Yeah. Love
Well, I
the
mean,
art.
Yeah.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, like I've not read the Shaken ones. I would love to, because I think Shaken um loves and embraces that sort of dirt under the fingernails thing that I love from Pulp Fiction, you know?
Right.
Um but yeah, like I think that, I mean, because I like it's this weird thing, right? Because I think that there is a whole generation of creators who would say, well, of course everybody knows the shadow, right?
Yeah.
right.
And and I would assume that when this was published originally by Marvel,
Yeah.
probably a whole hell of a lot more people did know who the shadow was.
Yeah.
And but to Sean's point, you need like, and it was one of Stan Lee's points too, welcome somebody in,
Right.
welcome somebody who has no idea what's going on. And, sometimes you can throw people into media res and be like, okay, you gotta tread water for a few pages here before we start telling you
Right.
what the hell's going on.
And,
And
and that's
I
that's
like that
the
kind of storytelling, but
I mean the one thing that I will give the Chaykin is that I figured it out as we went.
mhm.
He didn't give it to you. You had to work for it, but I figured it out as we went. Whereas to a certain extent with the Denny O'Neil, it was just like, okay, well, these are the Shadow's cronies, and that's all I know about them.
Well, yeah, and the thing is like some of them, like Burbank, is a complete zero, other than his little super super agent spy monocle thing, you know.
Right.
Um, it but the thing is like, I also think that just in terms of, and again, I'm gonna like in almost any other situation, I would be like, Mike Kaluta is a genius.
Right.
But once we got to like the climax and we're having this sword fight and everything, I was like, this is dull. It's dull to look at. It's like I can't even like jump onto this story and hold on for dear life and be like, I don't know what's happening, but it's exciting as hell, you know? And it felt like it, obviously Denny O'Neil knows and loves the Shadow, obviously.
Right.
And it almost feels like one of those times when you have creators who are like, oh, we love this beautiful jewel and we don't want to do like it has to be preserved and it has to be perfect and it has to be, and it's like, oh no, it doesn't. You know.
Right.
Also, not to jump to the end, but that last page was one of the most confusing things I've ever seen in my life. Where there's that last panel where it's like New York City, VE Day, 1945.
Right.
What? Like, and I realized that they're getting to the thing, they're getting to the point with like eventually the Nazis were defeated. But I mean, like, and trying to be clever about it. But even that, it's just like, okay.
Yeah. Again, beautiful. Well, I mean,
Beautiful
considering the
art.
two people on that page, I can't say it's beautiful, but you know, it's
I think you can say it's beautiful. I mean, like it's well,
nicely done.
yeah, the artwork is beautiful. The imagery is horrific in its own
Yeah.
way, but it's
There's a Leni Riefenstahl, you know, drama to it.
sure. And that actually that
We could
uh
have used more. The menacing nature of them,
yes.
uh, throughout the story.
And and the other thing is what was like what really kind of amused me was okay, so we're setting up Wolf as this horrible, horrible person, and like, oh no, he's not a Nazi, he's a Russian. Like, I understand you're trying to complicate your story, but I was like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It, it was, I,
Yeah, and bringing Anastasia in it,
yeah, I felt like it needed
Well, I mean, and
more
there
room to
there
breathe.
there's all sorts of uninteresting things that have been done with the Shadow over the years. Like there have been stories that suggested that Lamont Cranston and the Shadow were Rasputin,
Okay.
and that that part of this is atonement, right?
right.
And that explains his sort of powers and his um, and when they made that movie, they sort of leaned into that where he was Genghis Khan or whatever it was, and uh,
Peter Boyle was so great as Chevy, though. That's the thing I remember most about that movie. I just thought he was so great.
I always remember sorry, it's getting off. What's his name? Uh, the comedian that was the commissioner. Um, oh God, Robin Williams, Mork's son.
Oh,
Uh,
Jonathan Winters?
Jonathan Winters was
Orc?
yes. Uh, Jonathan Winters was the commissioner, and those scenes between him and Alec Baldwin are a hoot. They're both just deadpan as hell. It's like, that movie is kind of I actually have a lot of love for that movie. I think that there's a lot of wonderful stuff in it, and part of it it's it's kind of a mess, but it's also like the elements are all pretty goddamn good.
Right.
Like,
I mean, I really enjoyed it. And there's a YouTube video we should watch called Better in Black and White, where they
mhm.
the color out. But
Well, and that first well,
oh, I
you know,
forgot Mel P.M. Miller was Marco.
yeah, yeah. Um that was that period where like we're kind of off subject, but whatever. There was that
It's
period.
still Shadow.
Yeah. Well, there was that period in like the 90s when everybody was making these comic book movies. And I always was like, this movie is terrible, but like the first 15 minutes are awesome. Like I feel that way about the Stallone Judge Dredd. I think that that's the best film adaptation of Judge Dredd that's ever been done. It's only the first 15 minutes when he comes in and breaks up the block war. It's, before he takes off the helmet and everything. Um, because it's overblown, it's huge, it's really kind of goofy. But I feel the same way about The Shadow is that opening scene where he's on the bridge with the guys having the gun running or whatever it was. And like you hear him laughing, and then there's like you see the shadow with the cape, and then the lightning flashes, and you see him standing there, and it's like, wow, this is fucking awesome. And then, it kind of goes, okay, we can't keep this up. The Phantom, same thing. Although I kind of think The Phantom is actually a great movie. Colleen and I watched Sorcerer last night, and I was reminded, the bridge scene in Sorcerer. I remembered in The Phantom they had a similar scene where there's a truck on a suspension bridge over like a gorge, and it actually flips completely over. And I remember thinking that was a badass stunt, man. Anyway,
Um, yeah, so uh, the Chaikin, obviously took it into the 80s, I assume, just from the fashions. Uh,
wait. Howard Chaykin drew something that looked like the 80s?
yeah, hard to
What are you talking about?
hard to believe. Uh, but again, I felt again it just kind of assumes that everyone, particularly because everyone's aged. Um,
Right.
you know, but
But at least it kind of fills in the pieces through the story.
yeah. And it reminded me of the Testament of Dr. Mabuse, the Fritz Lang film, where he's transferring his consciousness. You know, I thought it was a great plot where, this this rich guy has bred, specifically saying bred his son to take his consciousness,
Hmm.
and they're transferring consciousness. That was uh, interesting to me.
Yeah,
Of
I
course,
think
he's having an affair with, the young son is already having an affair with the hot young wife, and because it's Howard Shaken.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I think that, I've always thought that, and of course, maybe Denny O'Neil and Kaluta had more things in mind. And obviously Denny went on, wrote that character. Um, again, I would love to read those. I think he did those for DC, um, his Shadow series. It would just be really interesting. Like I, I'm kind of fascinated to read something that's closer to the time that this was created, you know, that what would people who might have listened to the radio show when they were very young would have done with it. Um, but I don't know. I do think,
I mean, I'm curious also. There's Matt Wagner did a Shadow Year One, and I wonder if
Matt
that,
Wagner, Matt Wagner would seem a perfect creator for this type of material.
right,
Uh, uh, and I think that it it's one of those things that's ripe for some reinvention. I don't like swiping the whole everything off the table, but
right,
um, it's the same with Doc Savage. I think that these two characters are so ripe for somebody to do something interesting with them, but in a way, you've got to, uh, you don't want to forget your history, but you don't want to be beholden to it.
right.
Uh,
Well,
and I
particularly,
think,
I mean, it's something we see in comic books more than any other medium, but in prose, it's like Sherlock Holmes, The Shadow, Doc Savage, etc. Those comics or those characters that transcend their creators, that become um something for everyone rather than just Doyle's creation, just whoever. I mean, I don't even know who created the Shadow. That's how
Well,
you guys are
William
smarter than me, so
William
probably.
Gibson is who it was, but that may have been a pen name.
Okay.
There was there was also
And yeah, not the William Gibson who did the sci-fi books, I assume.
no.
Right.
Oh no, that William Gibson would have been not even
Right.
a thought at that point. Uh uh yeah, no, I think that I just in a way I don't know, somebody else talk for a minute. Let me gather my thoughts.
Well, to me, when you talk about, reading these, in reinvention, etc., I will tell you, so I read, three or four, didn't quite finish. I was starting to really like the Phil Hester, Ivan Rodriguez. Really like that art too. Um, but it made me think, who I wanted to read writing it was Doug Mensch. And then I thought, oh, you know what I'd rather be reading right now is Doug Mensch's Moon Knight.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
Moon Knight is the Shadow.
Right.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
beat for beat the Shadow.
Hmm.
Because I was
Everybody,
starting to think maybe, at least for me, the Shadow doesn't translate to comics. It's
Yeah.
great in pulp, it's great in radio, and I listened to a radio episode after yesterday afternoon, which I think is where they got the idea for Joker's Smilex. But so I was thinking maybe the Shadow just doesn't work for me in comic book form. And then I started thinking about Doug Mensch and Moon Knight, and maybe just some subtle changes he made, because I love that stuff, and read that like a year ago or so.
well, I mean, that
Right.
idea, like I've always loved this, the schism between Lamont Cranston and the Shadow. I mean, and like just spitballing here. What if like, and it would be everybody would say you were ripping off Moon Knight, but like, what if you did it where all of the Shadow's agents were facets, like different personalities within Lamont Cranston or within the Shadow,
That
that
could be interesting.
that would be like that would be, like even Margot Lane, it's like, wow, that could be super interesting. But, and the thing is like to take the contemporary character, like it's not as the relationship of all of these characters is not as clear as uh Doc Savage and the Fabulous Five, right? That was the Fabulous Five, wasn't Doc Savage the Fabulous Five? Which was his assistants, who it was always they were all sort of like Alfred. They were all family. They had been with Doc's father, and they were,
Yeah.
Clark Savage Sr. And and they were all invested. And my memory of all of these characters that work with the Shadow is that they were all conscripted or forced in some way.
Right. It's like as you said earlier, like a penance.
Yes.
They did something wrong, and almost like, the Phantom getting the
Yeah.
ring imprint.
Yeah.
They now serve the Shadow.
They now serve the Shadow. And like that's super cool. Like those kind of but it's also a lot harder because now you have these like you have to kind of grapple with that idea that it's sort of indentured servitude, like you are beholden to this person, and but at the same time, like if you really embrace the darkness of the Shadow, and the Shadow is possibly the darkest pop culture character I can think of. Like, Batman's dark, but the Shadow is fucking dark,
That was something that they dealt with in an interesting way in the Chaykin run, because they had the younger FBI crime statistic girl who was like, I didn't even recognize her as a bleeding heart liberal, but man, did the Shadow. He's like, what do you mean due process?
Well, I mean, that's sort of inherent. Look, like one of those things, one of my favorite lines in Dark Knight Returns is when, Superman says something like, "We're not criminals." And Bruce says to him, "Oh, we're criminals. We've always been criminals." And
Right.
it's like, uh, there is a truth in that. Like every single superhero character is a above the law vigilante, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that the Shadow is antiquated enough that you could really, really explore those questions,
Yeah.
and in a way that is not, it's sort of like one of the grand traditions of pulp fiction as we got further along, when we got into like The Executioner or what was it, The Destroyer, Remo Williams, and those things, is that many times these stories, or even Elmore Leonard's books, many times it was like the conflict was always a bad man against worse men, right?
Right.
Right.
And I think that we have characters in comics that fit into that mold, that because they're marketed, and I'm thinking specifically of Mr. Frank Castle,
Yeah.
that like there's a whole pile of marketing stuff that we can't really go into that. But I mean, I also think that leaves the Shadow ripe for using him in that manner to be like, wow, there's something off about this guy, but he just blew up that drug dealer's you know lab or whatever, and it's like,
Right.
okay, yeah, all right, you know um and
And
that
that's one of the reasons I was really looking forward to Garth Ennis's Shadow. I
yeah,
loved his Punisher so much.
right,
Yeah. I mean, how can you not love one of my favorite like scenes in all of comics is jumping into the polar bear book bin, looking up and going, "Sweet, cuddly, this won't do it all," smacking him across the face, running and jumping out of the bin just as the mafiosos fall into the bin.
Yeah.
And then the next panel is just the silhouetted bear paw swinging through and a head flying.
I mean, like, I don't know. It's funny because Colleen and I watched that the Daredevil show,
Born
and
again?
yeah, um and it was the first time in a very, very, very long time that I was like, oh, Frank's here.
Yeah.
Frank
Right.
Frank's gonna like, and the thing is like what I'm sorry, like I feel like we're way off topic, but and Tad's gonna say it's a podcast. That's okay.
I don't
But
have to. You just said it for me.
but you know,
And
because like
actually, it's a book club.
book
It's
club.
not that
Okay.
it's a book podcast that makes it okay. It's a book club. If we wanted to
Okay.
discuss the quality of our coffee, that would be okay.
All right. My coffee is brilliant. Anyway,
Those mine.
but it was like one of the first time, and part of it is because uh and this is part of what they've done on that show is that Frank doesn't seem invulnerable anymore.
Right.
Like he actually like too many people write Frank Castle in The Punisher like the Terminator, right? Like unstoppable, and it's you can
Right.
have those elements, but it's also like there's got to be that moment where he's just as beat up as Daredevil, and they're sitting there, and he's going like, "Jesus, Red, what'd you get me into?" And all that stuff, and it's like, uh, and oh Jesus, what's that guy's name? What's the actor's name? I can't remember.
Bernthal?
Bro, John
John
Bernthal.
Bernthal.
He's the first one to really get that,
Yeah.
like that, and like that scene where the cops are torturing him, and he's just like, "You guys are all clowns. You're just clowns," and I'm like, that's 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 the most human that I've seen Frank Miller written or Frank Castle
Castle.
Miller. That's a Freudian slip. Um, uh,
Frank Miller never did have a Punisher run.
yeah, but he
He
also
used him
like,
well in
Used
Daredevil.
him well.
Yeah.
well, I mean, was it
Always
you?
as a villain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, was it you and I, Sean, who saw Punisher Warzone together?
Yes.
And I remember we came out of that, and I was like, you know what? That movie makes me want somebody to bring, because I actually liked Ray Stevenson
Yeah,
in
Ray
that movie,
Stevenson. Yeah.
but I was like, now I want that Punisher to be the villain in a Daredevil movie.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
We went to that little pub across the
Yeah.
street after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like, but like, I think that the Shadow is ripe to do those same, like to grapple with those ideas of what is a vigilante actually, and what when we constantly say, like, well, everything Superman does is okay because he's Superman. Well, yeah, except
I love that, like, there are comics where even Superman doesn't believe that.
sure.
Right. Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, and like, and we like I'm not, for anybody listening, I'm not here to try to defend what Zack Snyder did, but like that was like a serious subtext in Batman versus Superman. It's like,
Right.
what gives him the right to stop a war? What gives him the right to do these things, unilaterally, not even, and I thought that was interesting. I thought that was an interesting thing to explore. Not
It's all the converse of that is also interesting. What gives him the right not to stop a war when he's also like stopping just the guy robbing a bank?
well,
Right.
yeah, look, and that is the like when you're dealing with a character, like why dealing with those questions with somebody like the Shadow would be super cool is because the Shadow can't, like, that's when these questions get too big, right?
Right. Well, and that's maybe bring this back a little. That was kind of my issue with the the books that I chose to read is uh he was globetrotting
Yeah.
and solving these huge international intrigue. And when I think of the Shadow, I think him just stopping street crime,
Right.
or organized crime,
Gangsters, yeah, yeah.
gangsters.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, it's like I always felt like uh it's like Grant Morrison's take on Batman was almost entirely seemed to me based on the Ra's al Ghul run, right? He saw him as James Bond, and I'm like, that's not, like, I love Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul, whatever we want to call it. Um, I love that story, but I also love that story because it was something different. That it was like, okay, this is the thing that gets Batman out of Gotham City, right? And that's and that of course, Justice League and all that stuff. That's a different thing. We're talking about pure Batman storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think talking about this graphic novel, part of me is like, I don't think the Shadow is interesting with his machinations to change the course of World War II, right? I think that seems outside of his concern base, and this weird ass explanation of it, with the ring, and that he knew the Tsar, and it's like, and I need to, and I'm still not clear. I'm not clear if he was trying to, like, it was about punishing communist Russia for having killed the Tsar. Was that why he pointed Germany towards them? Or was it about something else? Was he trying to, and that's interesting, but the book doesn't really go into it, right?
Right.
And
Yeah, no, it feels like a very interesting preamble to something that we
never
don't
seen.
actually have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least that I'm not aware of us having anywhere.
I mean, and like it's one of those things I would love to sit down with Denny O'Neil. I would have loved to sit down with Denny O'Neil in general, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, what, and he probably like, I don't remember that. Let me tell you
I
about
would
that
have liked to
Harpy
sit
story.
down. I would have liked to sit down with Denny O'Neil for so many reasons.
So many.
Some of my favorite of the word balloon library are the Denny O'Neil interviews. They're
Well,
just
look, I think Denny O'Neil is at least top 3 greatest comic book writers of all time. At least.
Really Schwartz thought he was the best.
Mm-hmm. I probably could make the argument that he was the best. I think that he could do almost anything.
He's one of the first names that I followed as a
Mm-hmm.
reader.
Yeah.
Len Wein, Denny
Yeah.
O'Neil, really. Then Alan Moore, Frank Miller,
Yeah.
Peter David.
I mean, and I mean, like, everybody has something that doesn't quite work. And obviously, we're reading this, what, 30 years after the fact that he wrote it. So,
right.
And who knows, maybe the idea was they were going to do 4 or 5 of these, and there was going to be
And then they lost the license.
right.
Or
Right.
I mean, that apparently is what just happened with the Taika Waititi Akira movie. Is Warner Brothers or whoever lost the license before they got there.
This may be an unpopular opinion, but thank God.
Yeah, no, you're not. That's
What
actually
role was Taika was going to play?
I've actually
What comical...
seen that opinion quite a bit.
I'm just like, what? Like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing I feel about, like, it's the same thing I feel about like Snyder's Watchmen. Like, okay, so yeah, you took these images and you made them live action. So I also think you ruined the ending, but that's a different thing altogether. That like, just making something quote unquote real isn't interesting to me. Like, I would much rather just watch the animated film, or read the comic, whatever,
The comic is coming out in deluxe hardcovers. I may have pre-ordered mine already.
But, I
Heard
think
an interview with Jerry Beck yesterday talking about getting distribution for the original.
Okay. Yeah.
Working with the Music Box here in Chicago.
oh, well, that'd be That'd be awesome because then they'd show it here.
Oh no, the original back in the 80s.
Oh, okay,
He,
sure, 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 sure,
he
sure.
was distributing in that.
What? Jerry Beck was involved in animation in the 80s? What? No, I think that I do. I mean, I think that you sent us a message, Tad, about maybe continuing on with in the chat
I
here.
I think it might be worthwhile because
I
I think that we have liked just enough to wonder what other people have done.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, it is one of those properties where, because it's everything's an adaptation, right? So like any number of people
Right.
could have any number of different takes on it. I mean, like the other thing is, we could uh I don't know how readily available Doc Savage stuff is too, but I mean that I
I don't know. I'd have to look into
yeah,
that.
yeah. But I mean, like I think for the next one, if we can all get access to the O'Neill Shadow Run at DC,
I may be able to arrange that. I
I
also think that I want to do the Wagner Year One
sure.
yeah,
I mean,
because
I think
Matt Wagner seems like, uh, uh, other than possibly Howard Chaykin and Denny O'Neil, of all modern
right.
well,
comic
certainly the
people, Matt Wagner seems like dead on.
well, I mean, and
And then if
art
there's time,
wise,
some Ennis, just because A, Ennis, and B, as you pointed out, the similarities to Punisher, it would be interesting to see.
I
Um,
mean, it's like it really is just like a far more, in my opinion, stylish and interesting Punisher, Um,
yeah.
I mean, like
It also looks like Gerard Jones and Eduardo Barreto did
oh yeah,
a
I remember that run.
series.
I read that run, I think when it came out. That was a while ago though.
Yeah, it
I don't even know who's
was
I mean, it's sort of
89,
like it's sort of like oh man, 89. Wow.
89.
That was God, I do remember that. I read that when I was in high school, where I was
Yeah.
yeah, high school going into college. I remember that. I was way into it then. Um, don't remember one thing about it.
Re-
Um, but yeah, I like it's funny. We're sitting here, we're what, an hour into this, and we're like, well, what else could we do? It's like I didn't order the Alex Toth Zorro Kickstarter.
Well, that was going to be my suggestion. It's not going to be delivered in time, I think, for us to do it
Right.
for next month, but I would say definitely
Down the
Oh yeah,
road,
no,
we
one after
need
that's
that
definitely something that
yeah,
we
yeah.
will.
because I think Tad and I both ordered the black and
Yeah.
white and color, so I could.
And I deliberately ordered digital copies of things. So
So
I
that
mean,
they're
among other things,
not that
I
we would
get more of my
ever
reading done digitally.
oh yeah,
No,
yeah.
if it's DRM free, I don't mind. I mean, it's at my library.
Oh yeah. No, I
Uh,
mean, like,
yeah,
look,
Well, you could
no,
listen to the physical copy out.
right.
well, like to me, it's like people always, I'm always like piracy and all that stuff. And I'm like, there's a difference between, hey, you're my friend, here's the digital
Right.
copy. You
Right.
can read it.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I'm putting it up on a website so that
Well, and
thousands of
particularly
people.
because it's reading to review,
Sure.
what I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I had a big
If anybody, at this point, enough publishers know me personally that if they got a problem, they can yell at me.
sure, but I mean, like, I'm sorry. I just had kind of a thing with somebody on a Comic-Con group about uh the music industry
Right.
and I basically said, what really happened, we can blame corporate greed, and that is true, but it's also because the public slowly and surely decided they didn't want to pay for music,
Right.
right?
Right.
And and that if nobody wants to pay for it, then it's really hard for anybody to monetize it, and that even when you give somebody the opportunity to pay the artist directly, they're
Well,
still not doing it, It's
I
like,
mean, actually, Bandcamp does
well, I'll tell
surprisingly
you,
well for a lot of people.
I know it
And
does. I know it
and
does, but I
for a
will,
while at least, live sales were way up.
sure. Um, but that's a different thing. I mean, like live is different. It's for myself personally, I have stuff,
Right.
I have stuff that's streaming,
Right.
and I have a fair number of streams, right? And I think one sale on Bandcamp.
Gotcha.
And
Well, I'm gonna go have
that's
to find you on Bandcamp.
you can. You can. Hayoth, Hayyoth. Anyway,
Um,
like here, let me market myself.
no,
Uh
you should.
I know. Um but yeah, no, I am all in to read some more Shadow. I think that would be really fun. I think that there are better um Shadow stories than the one we read. Much better. Comic book. Um uh yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
no, I think we should definitely um if we can read old O'Neill, and I think we will be able to.
cool.
Um, and I think Wagner's Year One, which is actually with Wilfredo Torres on art. But
What?
that's
Wagner isn't drawing it? I'm out. No.
Wagner. I mean, first of all, Wagner works well with Torres. He did some
I
spirit
it
stuff with Torres
it's
too.
it's a total joke. It's a joke.
No, I know. But Wagner often passes off the art duties when he's doing um
Well, yeah, unless it's like Grendel or and
right
even in Grendel, he eventually, yeah.
right when it's what's the word I'm looking for? When it's licensed properties, he
Sure.
often passes off the art duties. Um,
W-
so
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Um, I think that that is a really good idea going forward. I mean, I think it's nice to have stuff stacked up for us so that we know what we're doing, so we don't have to
right.
have this conversation. Like to anyone who's listening, that we often end this thing and then it's like, well, what do we want to read next?
Yeah. Hey, I'm all for having the what do we want to read next on air.
Well, I mean, we can do that too, but I mean, I think that yeah, no, I think it'll help me out. I have a lot going on in the next couple of months, so
Right.
uh, anyway.
So, but yeah. Well, then let's anything anybody needs to plug?
No.
I mean, plug your Bandcamp again.
Yeah, Bandcamp. It's Hayyoth. It's lo-fi
H
rock
O
and roll.
Y O T H.
Hayyoth. It was a
Okay.
random Wikipedia search, and
Okay.
uh, I am not a political person, but it is a Israeli superhero team from Marvel Comics.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, random
Well,
random Wikipedia.
I mean, if they're truly superheroes, they would have a sense of justice, etc., and therefore it shouldn't be too political.
No, it's not political. But yeah, it's just my crap that I played, and I play everything. So,
Right.
um,
All right.
yeah, and of course my books are always still available, and
Right.
I think the exploratory committee for the Four Color Plays Part 4 is underway. So,
Cool. Cool.
uh,
Well, for
which actually
20,
may like this is kind of an off thing, but we had talked about possibly getting an email from you had an email for somebody that I might like to speak to about the subject matter.
do you need me to set that up?
It would be interesting if I could make a conversation.
Okay. I can
I would.
I can look into
This
that.
is let's wait until we're off air, and then
Eh,
I will tell you what I would like you to do. So
okay. So for 22 panels, this has been Sean Harklerode, Mark Pracht, and myself, and the Pulp Blotter Book Club, and we will see you after the next page.